A function can also have multiple outputs. Let's create a new function. This new function will take two vectors, so function, it will calculate the difference between the two vectors. So it will return a difference and it calculates the difference between two vectors, so difference in temperatures. We're going to use vectors of temperatures. We have two vectors with temperatures for week 1 and week 2, and we're going to compare them and get the differences. So difference in temperatures is the name of our function. It takes two vectors, so temps1 and temps2, and now we want to return the difference between these two vectors. Easy, difference equals temps1 minus temps2. Great. Now we can even try it. Save it and go ahead and use it. Difference in temps, in temperatures of temps week 1, temps week 2. And if you run it, we get a vector with the differences between the temperatures. Here we are generating random vectors, so we are always going to get different results. Now, let's say that along with the difference, we also want to output another vector that will compare the days and give us the results which of the days from the first week was hotter than the days of the second week. So, the way that we are going to do this is we are simply going to check the difference, and whenever we have a hotter day, we are going to save a 1, and whenever we have a colder day, we are going to save a 0. So we are going to create a for loop from I to the length, from 1 to the length of difference, and inside that loop, we are going to say if the current difference is more than 0, we are going to save a 1 in the vector, so we're going to also create a vector hotter, zeros, size of difference, so it's going to be of the same size. So here we're going to say hotter of I equals to 1. Else, if that is not true, we're going to save a 0, like that, and there we have it. Now, here we're only returning the difference. We are not returning the hotter vector, but we also need it. And the way to return a second output, the way to return actually as many outputs as you want, is simply to use square brackets on your outputs and separate the outputs by a comma, like that. It looks like a vector, but it's not really a vector, so don't confuse it with a vector. Use square brackets and list all of the desired outputs that you want from a given function. In this case, we'll get two outputs. Now, if I run the code, as you can see, we still don't get the two outputs. We still get only the difference. That is because when you have more than one output, only the first will be returned unless you say that you want more than one outputs. And the way to do this is to do the exact same thing as we did here with the outputs. We have to use square brackets and we have to give names of the two variables that we want to be created. In our case, first we want difference in temperature, so I'm going to use a different name from the one in the function, so diff in temps, and the second is which is hotter, like that. Now, if we run this code now, if we run it, you can see that now we get two vectors, the difference in temperatures and which of the days is hotter than the others. As you can see, we have only ones and zeros here. So the first day, so let's see the days. So temps week 1, temps week 2. All right. So we can clearly see that the first day, so Monday, from both weeks, the first week was hotter than the second week by 6 degrees, and we have a 1 here. The second day, Tuesday, was colder. We have a -1 degree difference. So now this day is colder and we get a 0. The same goes for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is hotter for the first week, and Saturday and Sunday are also colder. So colder or equal actually. So we have a third case that we can include here. So we can say else else if difference of I is equal to 0, we can say hotter of I equal to 2. So whenever we have an equal temperature, we will save a 2. Now let's rerun it, and we have an equal day. If we run it again, we don't have an equal day. And we get different results every time because we're generating random numbers. The point here was that if you use the square brackets, you can list as many outputs as you want for your functions that will be returned after your function completes its job. And in order to use these outputs, you also need to use square brackets and create the variables for each of these outputs. So here you are basically creating two new variables on the same row.